welcome to today's Knowledge at Noon. This one is called Next Chapter, Navigating Job Transitions in Federal to Civilian Career Moves. And today I am joined with Dr. Lisa Andrews, who is our Director of Integrated Career and Development here at the School of Continuing Studies. So I'm going to bring her in now. Add a pen here. So hi, Lisa. I can see you now.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us today. So, Dr. Andrews, you have many hats here, but a few of them: Director of our Integrated Career Development, you've been a career coach for, what was it, 30 plus years at this point, from various age
This is my
range.
30th year, not 30 plus. I did start when I was 3 years old. Yes. So don't age me that much, Jonathan.
So, strength coach, certified strength coach, all the above. So needless to say, we are great to have Dr. Andrews here, but with a world of experience as well. So with that being said, I'd like to turn this over to you, Lisa, and start the actual presentation.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Just a little, if you could get your cameras ready, we are going to do a couple of Slidos, some polls. So please open up your camera if you have it. If you don't worry about it. And I'll just cross my fingers that the technology actually works. So if not, I have a plan. No worries. All right. So again, I want to welcome you here. Thank you for being here. I know this is kind of a season of uncertainty and change. And so that's why I decided to do this program for all of you out there. I do hope that, despite this being in this season of uncertainty, the season of change, you can find some joy in the waiting. I know that seems a little trite, but I truly hope that you can find some comfort, hopefully from this presentation, as you sort of navigate these transitions. And what I hope to give to you today are really three things: clarity on your path, a little confidence maybe, and some hope. So if I accomplish those three things, I will be happy, and I hope you will too. All right, so let's give this Slido stuff a try. All right, looks like it's going to work. So please click on this QR code and give me an idea who's in the room here. Are you currently experiencing a voluntary resignation, an involuntary layoff or termination, or you're thinking about making a career shift or switch? So let's see your answers, and we'll give it some time. Okay. All right. All right. So yes, 70% of you in this room have experienced an involuntary layoff or termination. And last year I did a program on job transition and job loss, and over 500 people were in the room, and that was last year. And the reason I did that program is because I was involuntarily laid off 10 years prior from a higher education institution that I will not mention, when they had an enrollment cliff, and 150 of us lost our jobs. And for me, it was a devastating moment. So I know where you are. I see you. All right, our next poll. How are you feeling right now about your employment situation? And this is kind of a free response. So we're going to make a little word cloud here. So please, and I believe I've set it up so you can enter as many words as you'd like. So please share. Okay. Anxious and uncertain seem to be two themes here. I do see a hopeful. I'm so glad someone said it. I do see an excited, but I do see a lot of distressing emotions out there. And so, again, I do really, really hope that I can provide some measure of clarity, a measure of confidence for you, and a measure of hope. So please stay tuned. All right, last question. Can you tell me who is in the room? A federal government sector employee, or former local or state government sector employee, a for-profit sector employee, a nonprofit sector employee, an entrepreneur, a federal government contractor, or none of the above? I tried to cover the world of work, but if you could just tell me who is in the room. All right. Well, I'm not seeing, let's see, not seeing any answers here. A little technical glitch, perhaps. It does say it's an active poll. Let's move on. Oh, here we go. You have to actually click it, Lisa. Okay, so 76% federal government sector employee. Okay. I have a crystal ball actually at home. It serves as a paperweight. I might have been able to predict that. Government contractors 13, nonprofit 7, local or state 2, for-profit, and our entrepreneurs. Okay. All right. And none of the above. So I think I covered all bases. All right. So I would be remiss if I did not mention St. Ignatius of Loyola. And if you don't know St. Ignatius's story, it is quite dramatic, and for many of you, this has been a quite a dramatic, rather amorphous and unexpected change of events for you. And so I wanted to mention his story. So St. Ignatius of Loyola is known for what's called a cannonball moment. I believe on campus on the hilltop, there actually is a cannon that they fire once a year to commemorate this cannonball moment. And it refers to this pivotal event where he was severely injured by a cannonball during the Battle of Pamplona in 1521. This shattered his left leg and left him bedridden for months, forcing him into a period of deep reflection and transformation. During this recovery, he read books on the lives of saints and the life of Christ, and that inspired him to abandon his life as a soldier and courtier and pursuit of a spiritual journey. And so this led to him founding the Jesuits, and Georgetown is, of course, the oldest Jesuit university in the country, and the development of the Ignatian spirituality, which, if you don't know anything about that, I recommend Googling. And, the reason I'm bringing this up, not just, as a commercial for Georgetown, but really this cannonball moment has really become a metaphor for an unexpected life-altering experience that can lead to personal and spiritual growth. So my belief, my guess is, or it's a way to frame it, right? That this is your cannonball moment. And sometimes, you're forced to your knees. And so you have to get up from there and decide what's next. So what is next? What I believe you need to do before you run to your resume and you run to your LinkedIn profile, those things come. But what I tell most of my clients to do is to take a big step back and do this reflective exercise on what is the way forward. And I want you to ask yourself 2 questions. First, what questions do I want to answer for the world? And number 2, what problems do I want to solve for the world? And after you've created a vision board, journaled, and really get it out of your head, get it on paper. When you get it on paper, it makes it real. So really, truly spend some time in quiet contemplation, writing this stuff down and getting it out of your head. Very, very important for the sort of healing process to begin. So then once you have reflected on those 2 questions, then you can start to think about, okay, So now I know kind of what's happening with me. So who's already answering these questions? Who's already solving these problems? Meaning companies, uh, other places to consider, volunteer opportunities. What's happening in the world and who is already working at these problems and questions? And then how can I join them? And I always tell people kind of jokingly, if you can't find anyone that's answering these questions already and you can't find anyone solving these problems, congratulations, you're an entrepreneur. You're going to start your own company and do it yourself. Okay, but first, another step back. One of my favorite baseball players of all time, even though he's a Yankee and I'm a Phillies fan, is Yogi Berra. And if you don't know Yogi, Google Yogi-isms. I'm certain a lot of them will pop up. And one I have stolen for coaching is this. If you don't know where you're going, you'll end up someplace else. Kind of doesn't make sense, kind of does. That's Yogi Berra. But to me, it really says a lot about, again, people, run to me for a resume critique and run to me for a LinkedIn profile when they're in this period of transition. And I always say, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But first, we need to know what the target is. You would never throw darts at your wall. You want to throw them at the bullseye. So to do that, I'm going to use the old SMART goal. I know y'all have heard this a million times before, starting in, I believe, the 1900s, the 1980s, people, when Madonna was popular and relevant, I must say. But SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. And so I've given an example here because a lot of people come to me and say, well, I just want to help people, or, well, I'll take anything at this point, Lisa. And really, really? Would you? That's an awfully big umbrella. We need to narrow that down a little bit. Okay. So when you've reflected on those two questions, when you've put it out on paper, and again, the SMART goal should get out of your mind and onto paper. For example, mid-level project management position in the hospitality industry within 6 months. Let's not belabor that point. Okay. Now, moving forward, I say here the importance of networking, and that networking is only one letter away from not working. Here's why networking is so important. Again, easy to run to the one ads and start applying for everything. Quick apply this and quick apply that and hurry apply that. But networking is truly, and I'm sure some of you have experienced this, where a lot of people come to me, they haven't used a resume in 10, 15 years. They're just finding jobs through other people. And, if your neighbor has a nice lawn and you want a nice lawn, you walk next door and say, hey, who's doing your lawn? Same thing with networking. And don't forget, it's not just who you know, but it's who you know that knows who they know. Think about that for a second. There was an old commercial, Fabergé organic shampoo. I'm going back to the 80s. It must be because of my XM radio. That's what it's set to. And it was this commercial where you tell two friends and she tells two friends and she tells two friends. And pretty much it looked like a Zoom screen at the end of the commercial, right? It's true. Tell everyone you know what's happening with you. Be not ashamed. Be not afraid. And then tell them to tell everyone they know. I once had a client who was working a part-time job in between jobs, and at her part-time job, she happened to mention to her manager she was interested in working in the medical supply industry. Her manager's husband worked in the medical supply industry. So you see, it wasn't just who she knew, but it was who they knew. They can be a resource for both positions and a source of moral support, but more on that later. And through networking, you can access the hidden job market, which is jobs that haven't been posted yet, but are going to be posted. And you'll be in the front of the line if you've already talked to someone about what you are interested in. Because newsflash, most positions are filled through networking. When a position is posted, probably 1,000 people or more have already applied. And then hiring managers are kind of back channeling things, back alleying things, finding people they know. And then, of course, there is an interview process, but there is this hidden job market that you can access through networking. And remember, a no is often a not yet. So there is a lot of uncertainty. There is a lot of change. There is a lot of turnover. So you have to give it a little bit of time. I like to say that old children's book, you have to kiss a lot of frogs before you find your prince, okay? So a no right now might be a not yet. So if you talk to someone that's a networking connection, they may say, well, Lisa, we don't really have anything right now. So talk to you later. And then 3 months later, they may come back to you and say, Lisa, we talked about this 3 months ago. Are you still interested? Okay, then now we can talk about resumes, CVMAs, I like to call if you're in the academic world, and pointing them toward your SMART goal. So yes, you want to point your resume or CVMA, I like to call it a CV resume, toward that SMART goal. Now, I know there are counselors out there, coaches out there that say you should have a different resume for each position. I'm not so much in that camp, and here is why. Generally, once you have that SMART goal and you have, your target in mind, you're going to be applying for kind of a group of positions that are quite similar. And I'll talk about keywords in a minute, but as long as you're pointing that CVMA resume in that general direction, you will get hits, okay? But also you want to give that LinkedIn profile a makeover. And we're going to put a link to the YouTube channel in the chat at some point. I do have webinars on all of these topics: networking, resumes, LinkedIn profile transformation, and so forth. And this could be an all-day program. We only have an hour, so I do need to move forward. And again, you may not have interviewed in a while, and interviewing is a skill that you have to practice, kind of like a language. If you don't speak Spanish for a while, you kind of forget your Spanish. I know it happens to me. But you need to know how to tell your story to a new audience, potentially. All right, so how can you use AI to help you? Because a job search is like a part-time / full-time job. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of energy. And if you're like me, I'm a good writer, but I'm a slow writer. I put so much effort into one word. So it takes me twice as long to do, let's say, a cover letter, a resume, CVMA, or so forth and so forth. So I get it. If you're like me, this takes a lot more time than expected. So definitely have a schedule in mind. But this is how you can harness the power of AI. So what I did is, what you're seeing here, and I'm not going to read this to you. I went to usajobs.gov and I typed in, and I just searched for a position. So I found this position that is open, an information technology specialist. Okay. And I copied it. You'll notice the font if you've been on USA Jobs. I copied and pasted it into ChatGPT. And I asked it to give me the list of keywords that came from this posting, and then my next prompt was, please convert this to civilian job titles and incorporate the keywords. And this is what came up. And of course, remember, I did a program on this in February, ethical uses of AI in your job search. ChatGPT has hallucinations. If it doesn't know something, it will politely lie. So you want to verify all this information. But, as a career counselor, hey, this is pretty good. I looked it up and I verified all these sort of position titles, and it's a pretty great list. And there's more. So communication security manager, risk and compliance analyst, and so forth. So AI is great for making your life easier. You don't want it to do things for you, but you're not putting this into a document that you're going to then send, and then an HR manager is going to see 18 of that document because everyone used AI to produce it. This is for you to get ideas for your Boolean searches, because a lot of people, and because at a lot of companies, things are named different things. So this is really great to help you brainstorm. So harness the power of AI. Okay. So if you're transitioning to the civilian sector, you want to expand your verticals. I like to call them verticals. For example, translation industries. Okay. We have tech, we have healthcare, we have hospitality, we have finance, we have environmental science, and so forth. Okay. So you may have to expand your verticals. So I asked it to take the skills from the job description and say, what can these skills be used for? And it told me they're in high demand in defense contractors, finance, healthcare, and tech industries. And then it also suggested some certifications, CISSP, Security Plus, and so forth. And also some relevant programming languages I might want to know if I'm transitioning: Python, Bash shell scripting, PowerShell, and so forth. So again, use AI for brainstorming. I mean, it's not a human yet, but it does have a brain. It can really help you kind of narrow things down, give you some Boolean search terms, and so forth, and expand those verticals. You can take one position and put it into different verticals and still have success. A great example is data analytics, data science. Pretty much data is everywhere. As I said, I'm a big baseball fan. Moneyball, one of the greatest films ever. And it was a true story. Data is used in almost every vertical now. So also, a great transition point. All right. So let's get to branding documents a bit. Lots of differences between that federal resume and the civilian resume, right? So your federal resume was 6 pages. My husband's, after he retired from the government, I think it was like 25 pages, okay? So, but the civilian resume, max 2 pages. 1 is great, 2 is okay. Remember, I will say, little generational thing here. Most HR people that when the eyes finally get on the resume, they're probably a millennial or below, could be a Gen Zer reading your resume. And trust me, I talked to a neurolinguistics professor about this. If a millennial or a Gen Z person sees a big block of text, their eyes glaze over. Okay. So needs to be brief, lots of white space. People will scroll forever on social media. We all know that time vacuum, but they will not read a big block of text. So you really, really need to, put it on a diet. So the structure, um, federal resume, a narrative format, full paragraphs, detailed work histories, has to follow USA Jobs guidelines. But again, civilian, bullet points, brevity, readability. Again, I think the last statistic I saw is that an HR person spends about 10 seconds glancing at a resume. They're going boom, 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 boom. Okay. And then if anything pops out, like a number, a percentage, and so forth, very results oriented, then they'll stop and read. But until then, they are literally glancing at your resume. The required information, you all know this, lots of information. Even is Social Security still a thing? When I was a federal resume writer, it was. I don't know if OPM has changed that now. But again, civilian resume, no one cares about that stuff. Just location, company location, and the dates. That's it. And really with dates, because there is ageism out there, no months, just the year. No need for a month. You don't want you don't want to encourage them to do all that arithmetic. Okay, more. So keywords and language, of course, in USA Jobs, keywords are everything because again, it's going through a bot to try to narrow down the 10,000 applications they received. And also you want to include examples of using that STAR method, which is a method you use to interview as well. But again, that civilian resume, yes, you want it to be keywords, but again, when I did my AI presentation, it can be so jargon and keyword heavy that no one really wants to read that. So you really have to be conservative with your keywords so that it's not so jargon heavy that it's not even readable, but it has to be results driven and concise. So again, numbers really jump off the page. Example, increased efficiency by 30%. Industry loves, loves, loves metrics. Again, data is everywhere, right? So as much as you can quantify your resume, the better off you're going to be. I always use the example of someone that works at like Joann Fabric, okay? They can say measured and cut fabric, or they can say, which is what they did, they can also say measured and cut 100 yards of fabric in an average 8-hour shift. Now that puts a mental picture in my head, right? You can see a football field worth of fabric. That's a lot of fabric, but again, results oriented. Compliance and regs. So, the federal resume, there are very strict hiring guidelines using all the correct terminology. You don't want anything to come back to you. But in a civilian resume, really tailored to company specific needs. And there is no government compliance because it's not the government. So you're off the hook for that. All right. So having said all of that, and again, this could have been an all day or a 3 day, marathon workshop. I really just wanted to give you a taste of this buffet. Take what you like, leave the rest. And I did want to leave a lot of time for questions. But I want you to know and really, really believe this. I have to say, I've been in higher ed. This is I'm celebrating my 30th year. This is my 10th institution of higher education. In higher ed, you're kind of a nomad, kind of like a military brat. You move around a lot. Georgetown, honestly, is the best university I've been at so far. And no, absolutely. This is part of our Jesuit values, cura personalis, care for the whole person. You definitely are not alone. We are definitely here to help, and more on that later. But also, that very first slide, I saw a word go by, grieving. I want you to give yourself time to grieve. Losing a job is a loss like any other. It's like a little death. I remember so well when I lost my job 10, 11 years ago now last year. I was like, what do I do? Who am I? For me, my job wasn't just a role, it was just a thing I went to for 8 hours every day. It was like my identity. So to lose that and just feel sort of unmoored from the dock is not a comfortable feeling, not a good place to be. And by the way, my job transition, job loss program is on the YouTube channel. And it deals with this emotional side of job transition and job loss. I really encourage you to read it because I didn't want to get into any of that today. Again, if I had 3 days with you, I would have. But there's a theory out there about, the emotional side of that transition. So I really would encourage you to watch that one. But seriously, when HR came to my office and handed me boxes and said, you have to be up by the end of the day, your email is now shut off. I didn't even get a chance to say goodbye to my staff. I just had to leave like I was a no one, and I'd been there for 9 years. I laid on my bed when I got home with my boxes still in my car and just laid there stunned for like 4 hours. So really, I totally get it, but you do need to give yourself time to grieve because if you don't, it will come back to haunt you in some other way, shape, or form. It could be in your family relationships. It could be anger toward your dog. Literally, it can come back in very, very bizarre ways. Of course, just using my counseling degree for a second, this is true with any grieving process. If you do not properly grieve, it will come back to you later in the next grieving process or even in strange and undesirable ways. So give yourself time to grieve. And I would also just say, there are a lot of doors out there. There are good doors, there are open doors, there are wise doors, and there are bad doors to walk through. So I would just say, again, just be careful which ones you decide to walk through because I think I saw desperate as well on the first slide, the word salad, the word cloud. You may think you'll just take anything, but believe me, you do not want to take just anything. Try to wait for the open door, the wise door, the good door. Make sure it sort of fits those criteria before you walk through. You're in an emotionally trying place right now, and going into the wrong door, walking through the wrong door just because it's something will only exacerbate the anxious feelings, the uncertain feelings, and the negative feelings you already have. So, to that end, I told you more to come. You can get support with me. I am having a 4-week, what I'm calling a career catalyst club. And I would love for any and all of you to come. Now, it is 4 weeks at noon, like a lunch and learn, but it's drop in, drop out. I want you to register in advance so that I can see how many people to expect and prepare for it. But you can attend as many or as few as you want. So click on this QR code. I did test it 3 times. I hope it does work. But if not, Jonathan's going to drop the link into the chat if you're on your phone watching today. And really attend as many or as few as you want. I've done, I believe, 2 job clubs before since I've been here. This is my 3rd year. Highly successful. Some people got jobs out of the job club. Some people just got great support, great connections, expanded their network, and got great ideas, and then continued to work with me one-on-one. And so after you register, you'll get confirmation about how to join the meeting and so forth. But again, I really encourage you to join. It's so helpful to just be in a room with people that get what you're going through. I can't emphasize that enough, that you are not alone, that look at how many people are on this call. Look at how many people answered. Yes, they were involuntarily terminated, involuntarily laid off. So yes, you're out there, and come together with me and process that and learn what is going on with other people, because when you do that, it creates this kind of community in collaboration, and this sort of constellation of people that you will meet will help you move forward, not just in an emotional way and in a processing way, but in a job way too. You never know who you're going to meet, who will have a connection. Remember that Fabergé Organics shampoo? Go on YouTube. I'm sure it's there. Okay. And then also, if you want one-on-one and a one-on-one appointment with me, click on the QR code. Happy to meet with you. And when if you're a prospective student, I can certainly meet with you. If you are a current student or alum of Georgetown SCS, you will receive unlimited, free, confidential, lifetime one-on-one career coaching with me. And also these webinars, my YouTube channel, which Jonathan will drop in the chat. We also have free access to Handshake, which is a curated online jobs database that employers have stepped forward and said, we want to hire Georgetown people. And so, yeah, I highly encourage you to take advantage of that. So yeah, if you want to and also Julia's here from enrollment. If you have questions about our certificates, that is not my unique ability, but it is Julia's. I know a lot, but we have 26, so that's a lot to memorize. She can answer your questions at that pdcprograms@georgetown.edu email as well. Okay. And again, Jonathan's going to drop these in the chat also, so you can grab them there. But another great quote from our saint here at Georgetown, St. Ignatius of Loyola: go forth, set the world on fire. And with that, I will turn it back over to Jonathan for a wrap up, and then we'll come back for questions, answers, and gratitude. So thank you all so much.
Okay, great. Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate this. It's been very great. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the question and answer. So people are starting to put their questions in. And in the meantime, I'm going to give you take the next minute while people are giving their questions to show you some of the things that we do here. So let me share my screen now. And so what we are outside of, Georgetown, we're within Georgetown University here. We do certificates, professional development, things like that. And I'd like to draw your attention to our newest initiative. So Georgetown launches Career Initiative for Federal Workers. So the impact of federal downsizing, we are offering a 30% tuition discount on select professional certificates for the eligible former federal employees. So if you want to go through here and read it, we'll also it's on our website, the actual official news, press release, things like that. What eligible certificates? Well, here are some of the ones included as well: AI governance compliance, cybersecurity, strategy, data science, finance for non-financial managers, and so on. If you have questions, please email the PDC programs team at Georgetown, PDC programs at georgetown.edu as well. And another quick thing here, what counts as a federal worker here is how we're defining it: civilian, federal, or contractors with SF50 or current federal ID. You'll see the time period is within the last 12 months, and the last two bullet points here, you can see how to showcase your credentials in that case as well. And then two specific certificates these are part of our new mastery, organizational mastery. We have our Master Practitioner Negotiation, 3-day session with Matt Charles, SCS faculty member, very diverse background from comms, communications to police negotiations, things like that. So very, very skilled faculty member here. So click the QR code, scan it here if you want to learn more. And then the other program we'd like to showcase Master Practitioner in Leadership. This is another organizational mastery class. This is an 8-week online format. So this is three instructors for this one, ranging from different areas within consulting and leadership. And so this course is also highly regarded as well. And finally, if you want to learn any more about our additional offerings as well, so as Lisa said, we have quite a bit, 30-something certificates. So take a look at them here as well. And before we go right back, I just want to promote our next Knowledge at Noon. This is one of our faculty members for Jamie Kralovic. He works here at the School of Continuing Studies at Georgetown as well, SCS faculty for urban and regional development. I don't remember the exact, now that I get into it, urban and regional development, I think is the name. So he teaches with that. He also does a lot with ethics as well, and with the director for mission and ministry. So join us for our next one. It's April 8th. And then finally, as we're turning back in, please follow us on social media. Here we have our LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube accounts here. So I saw this come up. This presentation is being recorded. The slides will be collected, and after this, you will get an email with the slides and the presentation as well. So on that note, what I'd like to do is bring back our panelists here. So I'm going to add Julia, and here we go, Dr. Andrews. So let's start with our questions to, the last part of our presentation today. So, go ahead, look through them. If you see ones, I'll bring out a first one, but if anyone else wants to jump
Something
in.
I offered for everybody, if everyone in the chat scrolls back through the chat and you see something you like, just leave a thumbs up for it. That way we don't have a whole long list of questions that might be the same thing. But the one that I saw that caught my eye first, Jonathan, if you don't mind.
Please.
I lost it. There we go. And this is an excellent question with already 9 thumbs up for Lisa. How do you handle achievements on your resume when your job did not really lend itself to measurable activities? Oh,
you're unmuted.
You're on
or
mute.
you're
Hold
muted,
on.
unfortunately. So everyone just rewind 5 seconds here. All right. Is it not unmuting? Is yours not unmuting here? Oh.
Now
There
I
you go.
can't. It
You're
was
back.
saying
You're
that I
back.
could not unmute.
I had to
Oh.
It
ask
was
her to
saying that I
unmute.
cannot unmute.
Ooh.
So I was scrambling. Please repeat the question, Julia. Sorry, I was
Sure.
scrambling to try to unmute and I
No,
missed it.
no worries.
Thank you.
How do you handle achievements, like on your resume, when your job did not lend itself to measurable activities?
Okay. Well, in that case, what you did is an achievement. Again, not everyone is in high finance, even though my example about being a Joanne Fabric, everyone has accomplishments on their job. Otherwise, you wouldn't show up to do anything. So yes, it doesn't necessarily have to have a number in every single bullet, but what you did is an achievement, is an accomplishment. So hopefully that answers the question.
Okay, great. Okay. Actually, Julia, do you want to be the question master here?
Sure. And then also for everyone, if you have questions about specific programs, we're going to focus probably on more the topic of this pull Knowledge at Noon for right now, so the career and the resume. If you have very specific questions, though, we'll pull that slide back up with the general email. I'm happy to answer those afterwards, too. Or if everyone has an interest in the same one, we'll talk about it.
Actually, I have one. I want to do one. Here we go.
Okay.
I want to do one. So here we go. We have one from Nicole, wants to know, for those 40 plus, should you remove dates that show how old you are, or example,
Very good
graduation
question.
grades?
Wow. And I actually did a webinar. You can hear this about ageism in the workplace and so forth. I believe that was in the fall, right, Jonathan? That was in Knowledge at Noon. Anyway, that's on the YouTube channel. Well, I mean, you can't remove all dates. I would say this, though, your undergrad, for sure, remove that. There is ageism out there, I will say. So definitely the degrees, unless you got a Georgetown certificate in 2024, 2023, 20, woo, in the last 5 years or so. But also, you know, on a resume, you really only need to go back 10 years. Anything beyond that, what have you done for me lately? I'll go to Janet Jackson. Okay. No one really cares all that much, quite honestly. So really last 10 years max. And so you'll date yourself less if you are only going back 10 years. And again, I would just take and no one really cares when you got your degrees. They just care that you got them.
Great.
Awesome.
All right, let's move on to the next one.
The next one that I see that I also really like, with a few likes, is how do you handle gaps or underemployed times on your resume?
Good question. That is a tricky one. It depends on why there was a gap. Now, I will say this, ever since the pandemic, there were a lot of bad things that came out of the pandemic, obviously, but there were good things as well. There's always a silver lining, one of which was kind of a get out of jail free card for gaps on your resume. I don't know a single person really that doesn't have a gap on their resume, at least somewhere, for some period of time. It's quite rare for someone to never have a single gap on their resume. So because it is quite common, and even more common, and even more and more common for the younger generations that are on this call, the millennials and below, even Gen Xers like me, you know, it happens. It happens. And, you know, I think human beings are a little more compassionate than you think they are and understanding. But again, you do need to be able to explain it. If someone bothers to do the arithmetic, this is why month should never go on resumes, because if someone actually is a bean counter and says, ooh, you know, Lisa was there from January to June, and then she wasn't there again until December. What happened? I mean, if someone is willing to go through all that drama to pick out a gap on your resume, you don't want to work for them anyway. Okay. But just to alleviate that, just years are fine. And then be able to explain it. And again, you're interviewing with a human being. You may at first interview with a bot. Okay, I've had people go through these, you know, chatbot interviews for screening, but eventually you're going to get to a human being. In which case, again, I can teach you about interviewing skills and how to create your narrative, how to communicate your story in such a way that a person can understand it, understand why it happened, and understand how you move forward from it. It happens. It's life. Life is not perfect.
Excellent. All right, Julia, what do you have for us now?
Let's see. There were a couple questions about if you're a consultant or, you know, someone that works independently, entrepreneur, with a long list of assignments across different sectors, and how you might organize that on, you know, rather than one job for 25 years, which there's another question about that. We'll go on to that one next, but a bunch of stuff across a bunch of years.
Right. Yeah, also kind of tricky. I would say, again, know your target. And if you have that many projects over a period of years, some of them will be more germane to what you're applying to or where you want to pivot to than others. So you can be selective. You can also do kind of a hybrid resume. Employers aren't a big fan of hybrid resume. I should say, functional resumes rather than chronological resumes. Most people still do like the traditional chronological format, but in some cases, a functional format, meaning functional skill areas, can be a helpful way to organize that information. Having said that, remember, no big blocks of text because no one wants to read that. What is it? TLDR, too long didn't read, right? Everybody gets that text from mom that's like this long, right? I'm not reading that. Just move on. So yeah, what was the next one, Julia? About 20
The
something?
opposite. So
Oh,
what do you do if you've been in the exact same position for the last 15 to 25 years with, minimal either achievements or like large steps taken in that same position?
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Sure, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, my husband moved around a bit in the government, went from HUD to Senate Indian Affairs Committee. So he had but he had a long career in the government, like 20 years, 25, I guess. So he's in the same job for 25 years. I would just say, again, that functional format may be a good option for you, where you split it up into kind of areas of expertise, okay, unique abilities, skills, that kind of thing. And don't forget, there's more than one section on your resume. So don't forget about your technology. Don't forget about your volunteer work. Don't forget about your organizations. Don't forget about your education, your certifications. There's more than just your experience on a resume. It's a full picture of who you are. And again, wait, one thing on resumes, they're a snapshot of who you are. They're not everything you've ever done, and they don't have to be. Remember, during the interview, the resume is like an appetizer, okay? When you get to the interview, serve the full enchilada. So the free chips and salsa are the cover letter, the appetizer is your resume, and the full enchilada is when you get to the interview process. At which point, you can bring up something from high school if you want to, as long as it answers the question effectively in that STAR method: situation, task, action, result. So the resume, just a snapshot, just enough to get you with those keywords to get you in the interview room, and then you can talk about anything and everything that will help you win the job, because the interview is where you win the job, not the resume. The resume just gets you in the door.
Amazing.
Excellent.
We have a couple questions. I've been marking everything that we've been answering with a green check mark, but quite a few
Julia.
quite a few people asking about LinkedIn and what to do either differently on LinkedIn compared to a resume. If LinkedIn job applications, like where it says apply now on LinkedIn, do those really work? It seems a little too easy. People that reach out with the sponsored ads as well. But I think the consensus is any advice for updating a LinkedIn profile for someone who's looking at a few different fields, or maybe just finally updated their LinkedIn, like me, where I haven't touched it in quite a while and it really needs a makeover.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, this is an entire webinar that I did. And so there's two actually on the YouTube channel. And I think somebody needs the link to the YouTube channel. I thought I saw that go by. And the social media codes, if you want to bring that maybe up again, Jonathan, or I can bring up my slides. Actually, the YouTube channel, I don't think I have one for that. You can put the link in the chat, because I do two webinars on LinkedIn. One is with a special guest star, Lisa Spinelli, a good friend of mine who's a coach in the Northern Virginia area. She's like a resident expert on LinkedIn. The one I did, I went to a train the trainer on how to teach people how to refine their LinkedIn profiles, from a woman in Philadelphia, go Phillies. And then they lost last night. We won't talk about that. Who charges like $200 an hour to redo your LinkedIn profile. And there are people out there that will do it. I will do it without charging you. So I will teach you what she taught me. But in general, LinkedIn should be chock full of keywords and skills. Keywords and skills, keywords and skills, because the 70 or to 90% of recruiters that are trolling LinkedIn are trolling it for skills and keywords. So under your headline, just one quick thing, you have about as much as a tweet. I want to say like 240 characters, however long a tweet is. I don't really tweet. So that's a lot. So keyword, if you look at my LinkedIn profile, it's keyword, separated by those pipes, which is a new term I learned. That's the key above the, let's see, the backslash key, not forward, backslash. That's that up and down thing. So it's like keyword, pipe, keyword, pipe, keyword, pipe, and just as many as you possibly can. Same thing with skills. LinkedIn used to allow, I want to say 20 to 25. Now it's 100. So just click on all the skills that you have in your toolkit. Those are two very, very, very quick things. But seriously, I have 2 webinars on how to do your LinkedIn profile. I recommend watching them, especially if you're having trouble sleeping. It'll put you right out.
Speaking of other questions that have been repeated throughout, a couple questions about cover letters. One, are they even read? Is it, an AI bot that we need to now account for? There was one question about AI, which I'm not sure if this is our expertise at this time. But what if you're an older candidate with lots of relevant experience, and then even more experience is required? You put it in a cover letter. Will that?
Okay, so cover letter. So yeah, well, I'll make this prediction here. I made it in my last webinar. Then in 5 years, we won't even have resumes. It'll all be LinkedIn profiles. So that is the importance of the LinkedIn profile. So mark that down, somebody, that Lisa said in 5 years, no more resumes. Hopefully no more cover letters too. They're a pain to write. I'm just going to say it. Like I said, I'm a slow writer, so it takes me forever to write them. Do they get read? It really depends. I really think people jump to the resume, but the cover letter serves as a lot of different things, okay? 2 things mostly: to demonstrate qualifications, motivation, and fit, which are the 3 things that employers are hiring for. And also it's a writing sample. So now that we speak in hieroglyphics 2.0, aka emojis, we no longer write real sentences anymore, which is a lost and unfortunately lost art. So employers want to know, because communication skills, I believe, are still the #1 thing employers are hiring for, not just oral communication skills, but written communication skills, okay? They need to know you can put a sentence together, so you can put a PowerPoint together, so you can put a quarterly expense report together, so you can do this, that, and the other. An email. Oh my goodness, some of the emails I've seen come across or on YouTube, I won't say who's doing this, but anyway, it's, not capitalized properly, no grammar. It's just like a text. And trust me, no one wants to see that, okay? Clients want to see full sentences, proper capitalization, grammar rules from our 5th grade classes and 4th grade and so forth. So a cover letter is a writing sample. So if the job description asks for one, do it and make sure it's flawless. And I have a cover letter workshop too, so you can watch that. I think it goes with my resume workshop, resume cover letter, because I do like cover letter in 30 seconds, basically, very easy. But also it is a writing sample. So qualifications, motivation, fit, and a writing sample. So if they ask for it, do it. If they don't and say optional uploads, don't bother. Don't bother.
Very nice. We're getting a couple more questions about the links to the social media. Jonathan, I don't know if you can share your screen one more time for that. And then we're coming up on 5 minutes left. I know some people are hopping out, so I want to get you that contact info right away. I'll put the email in the chat one more time too.
Yeah, if you could, Julia.
The final thing because this might take a whole 5 minutes. We are getting quite a few questions in just different amalgamations.
Iterations.
Exactly. Of I am now in job X, I want to go to job Y in totally different field or different set of skills.
Yep. Pivot.
So career change, career pivot,
switch.
not just moving up and down.
Right.
Any recommendations for how to tackle that, especially if you are transitioning to private sector, but you only ever have skills in law enforcement, intelligence, international development, how to sway into it?
Well, I hate to say it depends, because it does depend on what you're transitioning from and what you're transitioning to. But the bottom line is skills. And when you're talking about a career switch, career change, career pivot, whatever you want to say, it's all about transferable skills. So again, you can upload your job description, you can upload your resume into AI and ask it, pull out the skills from these documents. Then you could take that list of 20, 30, 40, whatever, 10 skills and say, okay. Or I always like to ask people, think back to like your best day on the job. When was there a day, and I really hope this is the case, it happens to me every day. When was it the case where you like forgot it was 5 o'clock or whatever? Like you were spending time on some activity or another where the time just got away from you. What was that day like? What were you doing? And how can you take that and transfer it to another vertical. Remember I said healthcare vertical, hospitality vertical, finance vertical, whatever have you, okay? So how can you take those skills that ChatGPT or Claude or whoever has so politely pulled out of those documents and transplant them into a new pot to let it grow, okay? So it's people make career changes all the time. And in fact, every year a new statistic comes out from the National Association of Colleges and Employers about how many times we switch careers in our lives. And most people, especially I would say in my generation and below, switch careers, I don't know, every week. No, just kidding. You know, quite frequently. I would say 3, 4, 5 times, even more in a lifetime. Now, my late father's generation, I literally have his gold watch from he retired after literally 40 years in the same job. I mean, he was there from like a co-op in high school, didn't go to college, and all the way till retirement age at 62. Got the gold watch and everything that I now have. That generation is aging out. Now there is long life learning, I like to say, getting a certificate and so forth, you know, continuing your education, long life learning, not lifelong learning, because we're living longer, right? We're living 20 years beyond the 60. And a lot of people that retire, you know, fail retirement with me. They're like, I don't know what to do, Lisa. I don't want to sit on the porch and drink iced tea. My brain is, you know, like atrophying here. I want to do something. So that's a kind of long answer to say that, again, you know, take what you have and try to morph it into what could be, because those skills that you have right now are valuable. It's just a matter of reframing them to a new position. And again, once you get in the interview door, that's when you can really tell those star stories and get your point across so that you move to the next step and get hired.
All right, great. All right, so I'm going to end this now as we are at our time boundary. So I want to first thank you, Dr. Andrews, and thank you, Julia, for your assistance today. So this has been our most recent Knowledge at Noon. And I think it's been a pretty great one at that. So any final statements, words from either of you that you'd like to say today?
Did you, you want to share that social media page again?
Sure, I
Before
put it in the chat.
Oh,
So
you put it in the chat. Oh, I
yeah.
haven't been watching. Okay, great. I want to make sure, because I did see a couple of questions come up about that, but yeah.
And Lisa, I'll
Yeah,
put in
just,
your calendar app for as
Oh.
well if you'd like.
yeah, that would be great. Yeah, Julie's going to drop my calendar link in the chat so you can grab that as well. But again, you know, thank you so much for being here. And again, I know this is a difficult time because I have been there. Never give up hope. There is always hope. There will be another door. It may not be tomorrow, it may not be next week, but absolutely there is another door that you will walk through. I hope we can walk there with you.
Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. This has been Knowledge at Noon. Next chapter, navigating job transitions and federal to civilian career moves. Thank you so much for attending, and we'll see you at the next one. Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.